Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups in the world. I run it from Silicon Valley, but our team is all around the world, and entrepreneurs who participate are all around the world, investors are around the world. So it's really a global community that we've built, and we've been doing this for a very, very long time. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue, build $1 trillion in global GDP, and 10 million jobs. This program started with an experiment back in the fall of 2008. And this is our 712th free mentoring roundtable. Over 300,000 people have participated. This has been going on almost every Thursday. Every year, we do probably 45 to 48 of these sessions. So you can imagine how many people have participated in these sessions now. Recently, we have introduced Sramana Mitra's Digital Mind, an AI mentor for startups. Now, this is AI trained on 20 years of my content, my writings, my mentoring sessions, recording. We have recordings of every single mentoring session that we have done. And all that has gone into training the AI, and it's doing reasonably well, actually. We're getting very good feedback from people who are using it. So I strongly encourage you to test it out. And you can, basically, it's available 24/7. So you can work with the AI mentor at your convenience privately. You know, these sessions are public. Even the premium roundtables are group roundtables, whereas the AI mentor is completely private, 24/7, available at your fingertips. We're going to start today's session with a conversation with Justin Wexler, general partner at WndrCo. Justin and I connected recently on LinkedIn, actually, because Justin had reached out to Bharat Gadam, who's a 1M1M premium member, in the context of one of his companies that is in the same space as Data Poem, Bharat's company. And then I invited him to come here so we can understand what he's up to and exchange notes and so on and so forth. So, Justin, welcome. Okay.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me on.
Justin, let's start with a bit of introduction of your background as well as some background of your fund.
Yes, of course. So my background, grew up in Florida, right out of college, joined a fund called Technology Crossover Ventures, TCV. Was pretty much the first time they hired someone straight out of school. So very unique experience for me as an analyst. I was in the New York office, though TCV is based in Palo Alto. A big focus of mine was looking for great bootstrapped startups. And so that's when I first came across your work, right when I was beginning my career, and really enjoyed reading some of the posts that you've put out. So yeah, I'm very appreciative to now be on this event. And so 2 years into TCV, I got connected to Jeffrey Katzenberg, who had just sold DreamWorks to Comcast and was looking to build a new firm that eventually would become WndrCo. And it was amazing to be part of that initial team that kind of came together. So not just Jeffrey, but two really amazing guys from Dropbox, Sujay Joswa, who led the finance business section, and Chen-Li Wang, who led a lot of the product section of Dropbox. They got connected to Jeffrey, and then I first got to meet Chen-Li, and then more broadly the rest of the team. So that was in early 2017. So now we're approaching 2026. So it's been nearly a decade with Sujay and Jeffrey and Chen-Li, and then our other partners, Anthony and Jeff. And it's been pretty incredible. So we've done a bunch of really amazing investments and deals, worked with some awesome founders, entrepreneurs. As a firm, we will do Series A, Series B investments, which is where I primarily spend my time, though we also will build companies, whether that's completely from scratch, like an incubation, or we'll take an existing asset that we feel has so much more potential than perhaps the company's realized, and take a large position in the company and help try to transform it. So that's also a lot of fun to do, and we've had some great things that we're very proud of in that respect. So yeah, that's pretty much the background on myself and on WndrCo.
What sector, what specific sector thesis do you work with?
Yeah, as a firm, we look at technology. So we look at technology that affects consumers, so B2C technology, and that affects the future of work in enterprise and other organizations, so B2B type investing. Historically, we were a little bit focused on digital media when we began, though that's really not a focus for us now. I would break it up into the consumer security. That's a big theme. So consumer broadly, but security probably being the biggest part of that. And I could talk to a number of our bets there, though we have made other investments in like online marketplaces and mobile applications. And then on the B2B side, cybersecurity is a big theme within that, but other areas that affect HR, marketing, finance. We just invested in Harvey, which is AI in the legal department. So we look at a number of different lanes across a Fortune 500 organization and say, where can AI and software be most impactful, and try to make bets within each of those groups.
And when you write Series A checks, what size checks are you writing, and what do you want to see in terms of proof points in the companies that you want to invest in? So
we're really proud of our conviction to be able to help founders in a meaningful way. We really don't want to be just money. We feel like there's a lot of sources of capital in the VC ecosystem, and the founders purely looking for that. That's great, but because we are a relatively small firm, we're our firm size is in the 400 to 600 million amount per fund. We're not multi-billion-dollar per fund, so we can be very focused on making only a handful of investments per fund, and each of them we want to have some level of impact beyond capital, and so that affects how we make our investments as well. We'll typically do a $10 to $20 million initial check into a company. So I'll give you some examples with Alembic. That was a $14 million initial investment. Ryder and Natomi were $15 million initial investments. Those were all investments I led for the firm. So that's typical for us, again, the $10 to $20 million range. And is a company ready for our investment? It really has a number of different factors. When I look at, and I lead our enterprise AI investing, I look at, has this company proven themselves at least at a couple of Fortune 500 organizations? So in the case of Alembic, they had done that, NVIDIA being one, and they had one other as well in the Fortune 500. And then does that give us enough conviction that if we get involved, we can help them significantly grow within the enterprise? And so that one, yeah, they were a company that, was right around the 1 million ARR mark when we invested, which for some companies that would be too early. If it's a PLG, maybe we need to see more proof points than 1 million. But for this company, they had, solid logos. We got to talk to those customers, got to hear what pain point they're solving for them. And then we had the conviction that, okay, this can solve a pain point for other Fortune 500. So, I get asked all the time by founders, hey, what's your sweet spot? It really depends. Can we get the conviction that that this company can really scale with collaboration and partnership with the capabilities that we bring to the table? And how big is the WndrCo fund? So our funds have typically been in the $400 to $600 million range. And do you have any geographical preference? We've invested all over the world. We have offices in New York and in Redwood City, though 2 of our partners live in Los Angeles. Most of our investments are in the Bay Area or New York, but we've made investments all over the place. We have companies throughout the Midwest that we've invested in. We've made investments in Texas and other states, all across the country. We were the first investors alongside Excel and 1Password, which is based in Toronto in Canada. We're investors in Deal, which has roots in Israel. We're investors in a company called Yassir, which is in Algeria in Africa. We've actually made several major investments in Africa. Our first music-related investment, Mixcloud, is based in London. I would think we've made investments in several. I'm thinking, have we made any in Asia, perhaps out of our seed efforts, but we've made investments in several continents throughout the world.
So why don't you pick a couple of investments that you want to double click down on and talk a bit more about how they came to you, what did they have that gave you that conviction to write the bigger checks, and what do you see in them given the current environment? How do they align with the trends and so forth?
So I'll talk again about Alembic, which is one that we're really proud to be involved with. The founder came from the CMO world. He was a CMO himself, always was pressured because he was at private equity owned companies he'd work at, pressured to prove the value of every cent that he spent on marketing. And the tools and capabilities are quite limited. Of course, with programmatic and performance marketing, advertising or digital advertising, there's some tools around LTV to CAC, and it's very easy to watch if someone clicks on an ad, where they go from there. But what about the big spend areas? What about sponsoring a sports event or tournament or a stadium or award ceremony on TV? Those are much more difficult to quantify. And this founder was determined to build a platform that can do that. It took him several years, and in fact, some of the inspiration for Alembic was around contact tracing. So taking huge unstructured data sets and watching how infection spreads and the outcome of getting sick or not sick. Well, marketing is similar. You get exposed to marketing, it spreads, and instead of getting sick or not, you buy a product or you don't. So there's some similarities in that respect and statistics took that inspiration for Alembic. And like I mentioned, they had NVIDIA as a big customer for them. They sponsor tons of events. They spend on TV, radio, social, podcasts, etc., both earned and paid. And so using the Alembic platform to see the value of all those efforts. And so how I came across Tomas and the founder and the team at Alembic, we had spent a ton of time in the CMO ecosystem. I think you'd be hard pressed to find another firm that spends this amount of time with CMOs. Jeffrey is a brand marketer by background, and his time at Disney and DreamWorks. You think about how much marketing was spent for Shrek and Kung Fu Panda and all that. So learned a ton about marketing. And he's a storyteller. And so we spend time. We go to dinners, we go to conferences. We are there with CMOs and hearing about their challenges. And for them, AI has such a huge effect on content creation. And we've made an investment there with Writer, which I led as well, for creating content. Of course, there's so much exciting innovation going on in other, like you look at Coca-Cola, they've now for the second year now have created TV spots that are all AI generated. So you think about visual AI, there's so much exciting things going on there. And so we're constantly talking to CMOs about what challenges AI can help solve. And of course, content creation is number one talked about, but at the same time, what role can AI play for attribution and understanding effectiveness and having better intelligence around, where to spend and where not to. And so we heard this pain point time and time again. In fact, Jeffrey and we had a breakfast with Alicia Tillman before we announced our Alembic investment. She's the CMO of Delta. And she was saying, hey, we have the Paris Olympics coming up later. This was last year. And I have no real way to prove to my CFO and my exec team the dollar impact. I can show them, generalized engagement, but I would love to have more intelligence around the value of the Paris Olympics. And so, that got us excited.
How do you do that? How do they do that? Like, these events are hard to pin down, right? For how it impacts marketing. How does that happen?
Of course. And so yeah, I'll talk about that. But to answer your prior question, when we hear this time and time again from CMOs, as we did with Alicia, as we did from, and I can name countless other CMOs talking about these pain points, that quickly gave us conviction when we met with Tomas and heard how he was doing this for NVIDIA, that this is something that we want to, make a big bet on. And we did the entire Series A ourselves. It's 14 million Series A, we did 14 million. So that was one where we were all in with the founder and wanted to help him, and support his dreams of building this into a big company. How Alembic does this is very interesting. So they spent years, actually, because COVID was like in 2020, but years taking inspiration from that and building other algorithms around taking huge data sets, tens of billions of rows, every time Delta is mentioned in relation to the Olympics, and kind of look at what baseline looks like, what baseline engagement, baseline sales look like for a brand, and then can see kind of spikes in down funnel activity that they can conclude are directly attributable to upper funnel activity. So it's kind of like a massive signal noise processor and can find the signal through all that noise. They also bring in all the data sets as well. What's that?
What is the data set? Is it social media?
And social media, but they actually have physical antennas globally for TV. So it can capture the raw TV signal. For a company like Delta or many other Fortune 100, you're waiting for your agency to report back when your brand was mentioned on TV, but they're relying on the TV networks to tell them. Sometimes that data is not perfect. So, the best source of truth is the actual raw signal. Because again, you might show up on a TV spot, but what if an announcer mentions Delta? That might not be captured in something that an agency will get to report back to a brand. So they, again, capture that raw signal every time the logo is shown, every time the word Delta is mentioned. And then they have ways to say, okay, well, Delta is a word that can mean a lot of other things, Delta in mathematics, but they can say, okay, well, it's related to airlines or it's in the right context. So they can, they can get it down to, the actual brand itself. And then same thing on radio, on podcasts, everywhere else. So they bring a lot of this data in on day one, which in and of itself is very valuable to brands. But then when you combine it with down funnel sales metrics and data that, like for Delta, a lot of the purchase is either on delta.com or it's on, an OTA like Booking or Expedia, which that data can be brought into the system as well. Then you can look at top funnel and then down funnel. And then you can start making conclusions around causality.
Very interesting. Now, you said you have a big interest in cybersecurity and you have a lot of Series A as well as some earlier stage investments in cybersecurity. What is your cybersecurity thesis?
Yeah, so as a firm, I mentioned our main funds, which will look to do Series A and B investing. We'll also look to build companies. We do have a dedicated seed fund, a separate fund as well, that will meet with very early stage companies that might not even have any revenue. It might just be an idea, or it could be a typical seed type round. We've made a handful of cybersecurity investments there. We've also made security investments out of our main efforts and fund as well. So it's multifold. I would say the threats facing consumers online are only exponentially increasing. Our largest investment in the category is in Aura, A-U-R-A, which is in the identity theft protection space. This company is a combination of several assets plus a bunch of amazing new innovation over the years. But it started with us seeing a public company called Intersections that had a product called Identity Guard, which we thought was a really strong product for protecting consumers against identity theft. But felt like in its current structure as a public company and the way that the company was managed for, just profitability first and foremost, didn't allow them to innovate to the extent needed to stay on top of emerging digital threats. So part of our thesis on taking that asset private and basically using it as a foundation for what Aura is now was to really focus on staying top of the line when it comes to helping consumers protect themselves against credit card theft, online user passwords and their accounts. You think about how much
It's a B2C company.
It's a B2C company, but has increasingly gone, just like 1Password has, B2B as well. So yeah, 1Password also started as a B2C company, helping consumers with password management. Both companies have gone largely to B2B. In fact, if not already, I think it's inevitable that each of them will be vast majority B2B. I don't want to speak about the tipping point, but a huge percentage of both companies are now B2B. For Aura, it's offered as a employee benefit. So at many Fortune 500s now, when you do your open enrollment for your health benefits, your dental benefits, Calm and Headspace both have done amazing job turning themselves from a pure consumer product to something that your employer will offer you for mental health. But you'll also, at many companies, be offered Aura for yourself and your family to protect yourself, because many times employees will use their own devices, or sometimes they'll use the same passwords for their consumer life as they do in their professional life. And so there's a strong incentive for employers to have something like Aura offered to their employees. And so we made a number of investments in cybersecurity, but this is the one that we've been most involved with in building this company along the way.
Okay, and talk to me a little bit about the seed fund that So our program obviously is incubation, acceleration. So we do a lot of very early stage companies. We are completely stage agnostic, even though accelerators these days want more validated companies. We are open to working with pre-idea, pre-revenue, pre-product market fit, pre-repeatability, all of that. So it would be interesting to hear a bit about your thesis when it comes to seed investing.
So we can work with early stage founders in really two ways. One, we can help incubate a company. We love to do that. We've done a number of times when a founder is like, look, I have a big idea, but I don't want to go at it completely alone. I'd love to partner and collaborate very closely with you all, the 6 partners and broader WndrCo team. And that way we're kind of creating companies together. And have Jeffrey Katzenberg as a co-founder of yours, and Sujay and Chen Li and myself and Jeff and Anthony is really exciting for some founders, and feel like that might give them the best chance of success. The other way that we can partner with early stage founders is through our seed funds. We'll typically write $500 to $1.5 million checks. We'll never lead those, but we'll participate in rounds. So if a founder is going at it and raising a seed round, they have a lead and they're looking for maybe a second or third largest check in that round, we could be a very good fit for that. We do those, one, because we get excited by the founders and we think it could be a great return for us, but we also do it because we hope to be along the founder journey. And if they raise a Series A down the road, our main funds could be a really good partner for them to lead the rounds. And we've done that a few times as well. So that's why we do the seed efforts.
And Justin, how are you and your firm parsing what's happening in AI? How do you think about AI?
So there's so much going on broadly. I think we have a few areas where we're well suited to do some exceptional stuff. But I think of course having Jeffrey as our partner, he was there in the transformation from hand-drawn animation to CGI, which was a massive shift in how creativity manifests. And you think about bringing Pixar into Disney, and Shrek was one of the most successful CGI films, and paved the way for that to be the actually the more prominent way that animated films go into theaters. We hardly see hand-drawn. And so this shift now from CGI to generative AI, now you had to have a real steady hand to draw animation in the past. CGI allowed you to type and a different set of skills, but now with generative AI, you don't even need to be a digital artist to the same extent. You can just have really great ideas and just prompt it, prompt the model, and you can have amazing outputs. And so Jeffrey seeing that transformation up close gives us, I think, a real advantage when it comes to the AI startups today that are building models and building platforms for the creator community. And so, we spend a lot of time with founders building in that world. In parallel, I think the transformation in enterprise is pretty incredible as well. You talk about an investment that I'm on the board of called Natomi that Jeffrey and I have worked very closely with. They are AI for customer experience and customer support. So powering the 2 largest airlines in the United States. They are the main AI for both of them. And then other customers as well, like DraftKings, NBA, Paramount as well. So working with some of the largest Fortune 500 brands, and how AI affects customer experience. Jeffrey, he's had his career in thinking through how to provide the very best experience for customers. So, AI can play a huge role in that. I think we have, because of that background, a real understanding of how AI can help both employees and customers. Again, Jeffrey had to keep artists very happy to do their best work at Disney and DreamWorks. And so we think about, AI's role in helping, make the lives of employees better as well. But then, more than just looking at the past, I think over the last 5 years, he and I in our broader partnership have spent so much time with CTOs and CIOs on the tech side, as well as CMOs, CHROs, chief legal officers we're spending time with, that when we meet with founders that can meet the needs of these execs, then we get very excited quickly. So we like to position ourselves as truly partners to C-suite execs across enterprise. And regardless of if we've made an investment or not, we want to help them solve their challenges. And sometimes that means recommending solutions that we've not invested in, but nonetheless build our credibility and trust with executives in the Fortune 500.
So, given the time, I want to ask one last question, which is about, have you made investments in the creator economy using AI? Because this is a very interesting field. What you just talked about, the progression of where animated filmmaking is going. Filmmaking in general is going in that direction because you can do so much with generative AI and so forth. So tell us more about what you're seeing. Tell us more about what you've invested in. That the creator economy, AI in the creator economy, is a very interesting field.
We've made several investments. Well, historically, we're investors in Khidma, in Frame.io, and Webflow, which are all great, amazing products used for creativity, whether it's creating website or creating video, or in Figma, creating mobile apps or other design work. And I mean, Figma is used for so many different things. So we're really proud of our creator tool portfolio. More in the AI native kind of era, we focused on AI that can help in business type of content. So Writer has been our biggest investment there. They help organizations like American Eagle, which is an introduction that we help make to the CMO. For product descriptions across AmericanEagle.com, they will now use the Writer platform to stay compliant, stay on brand tone, leverage the right type of brand voice that American Eagle has for written content. We're also investors in a company called Creatify that will help brands when they want to post on social media, on TikTok and Instagram and other places. At the same time, you look at like these big generative models for creating movies and creating video games and creating, music. And we've met so many amazing products like Suno, which is in the music space, or like Midjourney in video creation, or Pika, or I can name a bunch of others. Of course, we've also spent time with the Google and OpenAI teams with Sora and what they're doing. We have not made a major investment in that particular category for a number of reasons. One, we'd like to just have, one major bet per category. And we've just been so amazed by a number of different products, both from startups and from bigger tech. Two, I think a lot is getting played out legally on the training of these platforms. And it's, to see OpenAI partner with Disney is incredible. But at the same time, as of today, Google and Disney are trying to figure out how they collaborate. And so I think there's some things to sort out right now, and we're just.
I think the legal aspect of, I think it applies less to animation. Animation is less hairy, but when it comes to actual actors and, how AI plays with their.
Yeah, 100%. And we spent a lot of time with Hollywood and both screenwriters, directors, but also the talent as well. Jeffrey, helped so many of their careers over the decades. So they come to us many times and say, hey, you all are close with AI. How's this going to affect my role? Should I be licensing my likeness if you're a Hollywood, Oscar winning or Grammy award winning, performer, or should I try to stay out of it? Every talent is trying to figure out their place in this, and it's hard.
Actually,
we don't have the right
next
answers.
generation animated AI company the next version of Pixar should be very doable with AI.
Yes, no, we believe that, and there's like Black Forest is another company. There's many others that we've met that have that opportunity to be that, and Jeffrey will say the hundreds of millions of dollars spent on creating something like Shrek could now be done in maybe tens of millions, or maybe even less than $10 million. Could be only $2 million in a year or two, which is wild, and that is interesting because now you don't just have to be in Hollywood to create a film of Shrek caliber. You could be in the Middle East, you could be in Turkey, you could be in Brazil, you could be in Asia, and create films of that caliber or even higher caliber. So that's exciting for the democratization of creativity.
Indeed. All right. Well, let's listen to some pitches and brainstorm about what's happening in the entrepreneur community.
Great. Thank you so much.
Great discussion. Great discussion. Folks, those of you who are pitching today or in upcoming sessions, I just want to say that this is a safe working session. This is not Shark Tank. We're not trying to entertain millions of audience members. We are trying to work and figure out how to accelerate your journey. We're completely on your side. If you disagree with the feedback you're going to get from me or from Justin, that's fine. It's your venture. You do what you want. And just listen, because normally this kind of feedback comes from, good experience. So consider the feedback, then decide what you want to do. Jyotika is not in the room, correct? From what I can see. Let me just check. Jyotika is not here. Skip to Valentina. Got it. Just a moment. Okay. Is Sachin Kumar in the room? He was asking me to skip to Valentina. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Valentina, please unmute your line and get going.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's an honor to share this room with you guys. Sramana, I've been following you for a long time, and Justin, thank you so much. Very insightful, your comments. Now let's go to Griin. Griin is this company that's actually solving the financial problems, and that's the main reason why most of the companies and the final users don't adopt solar energy. Myself, I'm a civil engineer. If you want to, you can go to the next slide, Sramana. I'm a civil engineer. I've been working since day one in the most technical parts of the areas of these projects. I started working in Spain and for European projects. I started as a sales engineer, working on site with my boots and everything, solving all the engineering problems of the projects, mainly like big solar farms. After that, I had to start being the head of engineer for the United States projects, utility scales projects. I don't want to get too much into the technical area, but it's a bit of why everything starts to develop in Griin. So I used to ask myself constantly, why is the solar energy relativity blocked if you compare with the other sources of energy, given that it's limitless, it comes from the sun and it's very cheap and very easy to install. So that's something that kept in my mind constantly through my engineering process and operative project in the industry. And after time, I started growing a lot professionally. I then became head of sales in a financial company in Mexico. At the end of the day, I became partner of the company, and I got to answer those questions that I continuously had previously as the engineer. I got to sit down with the final users, to the clients, and understand what was really lacking in order for us to develop a quicker energy transition globally. So with my background, with the engineering, the commercials, legal, and financial pieces starting to get together, We developed with my partner Farid, which is also in this call and has more of a investment and financial background. We developed Griin. Griin basically is a fintech that is aiming to unlock capital for distributed generation in Latin America with what we call a green solar subscription that has a terms of 5 to 20 years. We are very, very tech oriented. So we combine project finance and AI in order for us to give a more premium product to our users and also to automatize and optimize all of our internal services. Let's go to the next slide. Thanks. So what's the problem that we saw? That the energy costs globally, not only in Latin America, are crazy high. And this is blocking the adoption of the final users. We started in Colombia, first of all, because in Colombia, we saw that the energy price was even 3 times as more expensive as in Mexico. And this is basically, if we translate it in revenue, it basically triples our margin, right? So that's what's one thing that we saw. The companies in these countries that lack of financial options are less likely to have access to these opportunities. So basically, what they have right now, yeah.
Valentina, is this a consumer fintech? Is it a B2B fintech? What?
B2B. So here we're not improvising I have a decade in the industry and I've worked in utility scale. I've worked even residential B2C. I've also worked in B2B, and we saw that the margins and the impact is even higher directly if we go with the companies. Also, the risk for the investors is much lower because we have this underwriting and due diligence process focused on companies. So this is like a mid to large type of companies with very stable income, right? So yeah, it's B2B. Right now, what's our subscription? What does this entail? This is a zero capex product. So basically how we communicate this to our users is just as you're paying your Netflix subscription or your internet subscription, you will basically now be paying an energy subscription that will be provided by the solar panels that we will be installing on your rooftop. And there is no investment. So basically, let's say that you have a company, I don't know, a pharmaceutical company, right? And you're spending, I'll just make up a number, $10,000 a month in your energy bill. So we will install the solar panels. You put absolutely no capex, and monthly you will be receiving a green bill, which entails the energy subscription of ours, and it's going to be around 30% lower than what you used to be paying previously in your energy bill. And after 5, 10, or 15 years, that term depends on what the client is looking for, because after that term, you will keep the system. But the longer the term, the lower the energy rate, right? So basically, they will be saving every month in their energy bill. They will be having access to, or will be acquiring a solar system after that, and they won't even know when they paid the system, right? The solar panels. So this is just like a lease, but it has like the best of both worlds, the best of a leasing and the best of a PPA, which is a power purchase agreement. How are we integrating the technology, which is, as I mentioned before, like one of our most important pillars? We are developing a software where the business, or let's just say the manager of maintenance that has the urge to lower their energy costs, they just simply take a picture with their phone of their energy bill, and our system will give in a matter of seconds our green energy proposal. So basically, we have this system developed that will give them the energy rate will be 15% lower than your current energy bill. And after 7 years term, you will keep the system, right? For example. And after they approve, which is also in our app, after they approve the green subscription proposal, then they will have to upload in the same platform all their legal and financial documents in order for us to do that due diligence and the underwriting process. And after that, we start signing the contract and start developing the project, right? Which is around 1 to 3 months, the installation process that says in this structure. And after that, in the same software of ours, they have the operation and maintenance software for them to have and track in real time how the system is is in operation. So for example, if we see that the solar panel is having less efficiency than the rest of us, we will have an alert and we will send the engineer to do the respective changes. So basically what we do and what we offer is a 360 model for the client to forget about any trouble. We have the full responsibility of the technical area, the installation, the finance of the project, and the operational and maintenance of the systems during this customer service experience, right? So where are we standing right now? Right now, Griin has 17 megawatts signed. This is a little bit of how the industry breakdown is in our company. Most of them are just industrial and commercial companies. This equals 15 million of investment, and this will give us a revenue around of $4 million a year. And with this contract signed,
we have these contracts.
Yes, these are contracts that we have on our power that we have already signed. And the main, I wouldn't say risk, but the challenge that we're currently facing is that given that this was a big urge for Colombia, which is the company, the country that we started signing very quickly the contracts. Like this is a high need for companies. The energy rate, as I mentioned before, is 3 times as it is in Mexico. It's very, very high. So they are needing solutions like this. And they are not acquiring the system, lack of financial alternatives or lack of CapEx. So this is resolving a very huge issue right now in Latin American countries.
This 15 million investment you've already raised, or this is something you're looking for?
So we started with an art capital and we raised our first round of 1 million with strategic investors and with founders capital in order for us to position ourselves into different funds and show them like real numbers, you know, like these are real clients. We're talking about $1 million that were deployed in 100% of these $1 million in projects that are currently giving us real revenue, right? And the thing is that, yeah, this 1 million was a pilot. Now the next step is to raise this 15 million in order for us to deploy the current contracts that we have signed.
How much revenue? What is your revenue situation right now?
So right now, given that the IRR is 25%, it should be when we have 100% them interconnected. We're just missing a couple of projects to be interconnected, but it's going to be $250,000 a year.
From these customers?
Yeah, from industrial B2B C&I customers. Yeah.
Okay.
So why Colombia? As I mentioned before, my experience have been in Europe, United States, and Mexico mainly, but I am Colombian. And maybe I think one little part of the reason why I'm coming back is because I had to come back and everything I've learned of the knowledge and the experiences that I've lived. And I know this model by heart. I wanted to apply it beginning in Colombia, which was a market that has a very big need. But as well, we have another factors that makes this very profitable and makes total sense. First of all, in Colombia, we have 40 more of solar irradiance than the global average. So basically, it's more, it makes more sense financially speaking. They're more efficient. Second of all, the high energy prices, which I mentioned before, this makes us to have twice the margin as we have in any other country. And we need to take advantage of how high the energy prices are in these type of countries. A bit about the market opportunity. Here's the TAM. This is only Colombia speaking because the truth is that this is a very scalable model. So we want to scale after Colombia. We want to go to Ecuador, Brazil, Argentina, and
the analysis you have here, is this a bottom-up TAM analysis?
Sorry, what?
Is this a bottom-up TAM analysis?
Yes.
So
Yes.
So revenue model.
Yes. So this is revenue. That's I mentioned it before. And yeah, the SAM is 1.5. Basically, these are the clients that have space in the rooftops to install the solar panels, and our C&I, which is our target type of companies. Okay. And the sum is basically what we see here in the sales projection. We are expected a 40 million revenue by 2029 with the real traction and the real pipeline that we currently have. So this is the challenge that we are growing very, very quickly, commercially speaking, with our sales. As I mentioned, a very, very good problem.
Hang on. You want to raise $134 million to get to $40 million in revenue?
It's around $135 million invested in CapEx for $40 million in revenue. And let's remember that these are contracts that have an average term of 12 years. So basically by year 3.5, we already have our investment secured, and we have more than 7-8 years to come that we will be keep receiving the energy subscription payment from our clients.
So I may be missing something in your financial. I mean, it's like simple math doesn't work for me, and that is you know in the venture capital industry looks for $0 to $100 million in 5 to 7 years. You're going from $0 to $40 million in 5 to 7 years, but the capital is huge. Yes. $134 million is a huge amount of capital. So this, out of the gate, this is not a venture fundable deal.
This is 100% a capital intensive model, because the truth is that the money goes directly for the assets, which is the solar panels and the equipment. The thing is that we have two verticals, and this is important to clarify. One is green energy, which is the asset management type of company where it's the strong investment. And then is green tech, which is the more VC type of company that's needing the AI system for us to develop the software that I was mentioning before, that takes the picture of the receipt and just decreases the time of a proposal and has the control managed of how the system is operating, and has all the.
You have a highly capital intensive business. How do you propose to finance it?
Our structure is mainly funded by debt and the project finance structure. So basically, we're looking at our investment structure is 80% debt, 20% equity.
And are you finding money in Colombia to do this?
It's been very hard, to be honest. That's our main challenge. We're currently having like 90% of our time testing in calls with different funds, with CAF, with BID, that can share our vision and see what of an opportunity this is. But the truth is that that's what we're looking for. We're looking for this financial partner that sees that, as I mentioned, the opportunity and the impact that we're making, and believe in us to have this.
This is not the kind of deal that I would be able to help you with. We don't do highly capital intensive deals out of the gate. So our strategy is entirely bootstrap first, raise money later, and we work on, what would be called asset light businesses that permit that kind of financing. So if you need so much money out of the gate, that is not something that we would be able to help you with.
And I understand completely, Sramana. And we knew that from the beginning. We wanted us maybe to be like the bridge and connect to maybe funds that will be interested in the opportunity and understand how this model works, and see how high impact of market are in other countries, that we can also once again be the bridge, right? But to know who's going to be like the right people for us to fund this financial platform to scale.
Why don't you wait? I will explain how 1M works. I think you need to understand how 1M works. So let me work with the other people, then then I'll explain to you how to work with 1M.
Thank you.
Koran Rohan, you are up next.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the mic. Hello, I'm Koran. Company is Valim. A bit of history about myself. I've spent my entire professional life in product and tech. And I've worked in a lot of domains, most recently in crypto, and built products that scaled up to $1 billion in AUM. And I've had the itch to start something ever since AI came up, and something deep down struck that it's going to transform things fundamentally. And funnily enough, Valim started as a deepfake detection company last October, and we had a fun run exploring the market and trying to detect deepfakes. We concluded that the tech was impossible to detect deepfakes accurately, so we pivoted out of that business. And I'd love to debate anyone who thinks that it can be detected accurately. Ever since then,
I kind of agree with you. I think it's going to be impossible to detect deepfakes, and we are going into a very, very tricky period of the human civilization because of that. But that's a different discussion. Please carry on with your pitch.
Absolutely, absolutely. The problem, I think, is still real, but yeah, that's a fun conversation for later. So ever since say March this year, we took a hard pivot. We had some adjacent opportunities in deepfakes, but we took a hard pivot, and accounting and tax seemed very promising. And a few experiments, many experiments later, we crystallized on what I'm about to present now. So yeah, our thesis now is transforming tax with AI, and the core mission now is to get 100x efficiency gains in US tax preparation with agentic AI. Next slide, please.
B2C, B2B, what kind of business are we talking?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there were some pointers there over the next slides, but happy to address it right now. Right now, our GTM is selling to small to mid-sized CPA firms in the US and helping them become 100x more efficient in tax preparation. There are a bunch of reasons for this. One of them is that we don't want to go to consumers directly because if people actually have a lot of complexity in their tax returns, they like to stick with one accountant. On the other end, if people don't have too much complexity, they use your traditional DIY like TurboTax or some such tool. So we think the sweet spot is actually going to the CPA firms who consolidate like a bunch of tax returns, and solving the pain point for them gives us indirect access to hundreds and thousands of returns, right? So to crystallize on the problem statement now, and I'm condensing that down to US tax professionals, because as I outlined, we are not going direct to end customers, right? So the problem faced by US tax professionals is, now to give you a sense of the scale, very small tax firms like solo or someone with one employee easily handles 100, 200, 300 returns by themselves or with just one or two other people on their own. And people with even 5 to 10 employees handle 1,000+ returns. So the scale of what they do during tax season is quite a lot. Like it's good scale. And tax preparation is like complex, time-consuming, manual. And US is facing a growing shortage of accountants, which is very interesting. So year on year, the number of new entrants into accounting and tax is reducing. And there's a large aging population. A lot of them, I think 75% are set to retire over the next 5 to 10 years. So there is a lot of talent crunch as well. So all of this on ground translates to usually resource crunch and like a lot of work that piles up during busy tax season. I think there was... Sorry?
Have you started? Is this business already rolling, or is it concept?
Yeah, we have we have a service arm with $36,000 revenues lined up for the upcoming year. Contracts are signed. We have a tax research tool that has a few paying customers, and we waitlisted a bunch of people for the tax prep tool, which we are betting on as the hero product.
Okay. So what brings you here? What are you looking for help with?
Yeah, absolutely. I've pointed out a few items in the last slide, Sramana.
Move forward.
Yeah, please. Yeah, we can jump directly to that as well. Yeah, so a couple of things. So our team is currently in India. Like we've registered a company there in US, and we do shuttle. We're set to go there in June again. But the bulk of our time is still spent in India. So I wanted your thoughts on GTM, the first 10 clients and then 100, selling to US sitting in India. So if you have any thoughts there, I'd love to hear about that. Another unique challenge in this industry is seasonal sales. So February to April and August to October are generally busy season, and sales is hard. So in your experience, if you've seen sales cycles like this, I'd love your thoughts on how companies work around that. And finally, like seed strapping and bootstrapping versus VC route, I think both are viable for us. Ideally, we'd like to find some sort of PMF before raising funds. I think that's ideal for everyone involved. But there are some practical difficulties there, mainly on the uncertainty of when we can get in enough revenues or find PMF. So considering the company's context, if you have a gut instinct there as well, I'd love your thoughts. Yeah.
So Indian entrepreneurs are selling to international clients left, right, and center right now. So I would take the number one question you have, the first question on your slide, off the table. You have to figure out how to sell. And this is not the kind of product that you're going to sell in person. It is all going to be digital selling anyway. So so you have to figure, there are specific ways of doing that. And if you need help with that, we can teach you that. But that's something that you have to learn how to do. Seasonal is an issue, actually. Investors do not like seasonal businesses very much. So there are only a few businesses, seasonal businesses that are that have scaled, TurboTax being one of them. But I think investors do not particularly like seasonal businesses. The answer to your third question is that you are not ready for funding at all. Until you show a lot more traction and a lot more validation, product market fit, and so on, I don't think you can raise money. This is not a fundable situation at all. So, founder salaries are not going to be coming for the next 12 months. You guys have to do sweat equity. And cloud costs, on the other hand, can be covered by Google for startups and stuff. They offer you cloud credits. So if you join Google for startups, you can get cloud credits from there. That problem can be solved relatively easily. Okay?
Understood. Yeah. Thank you.
I think your value proposition probably is correct, but you still have to validate that. And I'll tell you from our personal experience, we use a CPA. Our tax returns are quite complicated. So so when it's complicated tax returns, telling me that AI can be good at it, I have no evidence that AI can be good at it, or my tax accountant. To trust your AI with that level of complexity is going to not be so easy. So my gut feeling actually is this is not for the very simple and it's not for the very complicated. Somewhere in the middle that is moderately, not completely a no-brainer, but some things that are a little bit moderately complex tax returns is where probably AI will do well. But you're going to have to look at real data and real use cases to see where you can really add value. So you need to work with customers and see, how you build this product.
Yep. Yeah, just to add a little bit of color, we do have people who are excited to try it. Like sales has happened. It's not like sales has completely not happened. But I see your point, and we'll work towards doubling down on what we have. Yeah.
The whole venture game is about velocity. Like I told Valentina earlier, 0 to 100 million in 5 to 7 years is what VCs are looking to do. Now, if you're trying to do something, let's do a thought experiment. Let's say you want to build something on top of QuickBooks, for instance, TurboTax. Let's say this is a product that you slap on top of TurboTax, and it basically enhances the capabilities of TurboTax, and you want to get a few customers, and then you want to go and sell this product, this company into it. That is a bootstrapping to exit or seed-strapping to exit kind of strategy. That may be possible. I just don't know if TurboTax customers are the type of customers where you can really add value. They may be very simple. So then what is the underlying system on which you're working? Are you working on NetSuite?
We built on top of Drake and UltraTax to start with. So there are these behemoth tax tools that CPA firms use already. On the smaller end, it's Drake and UltraTax. So it's very important to fit into their workflows for adoption. And
what size companies are those? Drake and UltraTax. What size companies are those?
Oh, UltraTax is owned by Thomson Reuters, and they have a bunch of tax tools, and it's a humongous market. Drake also it's a big company. I forget the exact market size. Yeah, and
this is something I would encourage you to do, is to understand what would be your bootstrapping to exit route if you want to build something on top of those systems and sell to one of those acquirers. That's your bootstrapping or seedstrapping to exit strategy. If you want to build a $0 to $100 million very fast growth, high velocity company by raising a lot of venture capital, that is the other route. And in that case, you have to show that you have the ability to deliver something very high velocity.
Understood. Understood. Yeah.
All right, let's move to the next presenter. I'll answer questions again at the end of the session. Adeeb Sayeed, could you please unmute your line, Adeeb?
Hello. Hey, happy to be here. I'll get started. So we deliver authentic Islamic guidance and a private counsel. We can go next slide. So the problem we see is that the gap between authentic guidance and Islamic guidance to people who are seeking it, mainly through misinterpretation of the text itself, and also how they can find peace of mind or better their mental health through Islam itself. Western psychology has always been a misfit for Muslims, while faith-integrated healing, as we see, has been more accepted. Islam is a very regimented religion, so the problems that we see in that are various, and we see that there are three sources that people can turn to for guidance. One is online, which is again filled with content creators more than real scholars. They can head to their local imams or the local mosques. Here, do not have enough time. Women, again, do not have direct access at all. They have indirect access through their male relatives mainly. Friends and family, again, there's a limited scope of Islamic knowledge, and also there is misinterpretation in the text itself. Yeah. We can go to the next slide. Yeah. So what we offer is direct access to faith-based experts who deliver private, contextual, context-based Islamic guidance, very specific to challenges that they face.
It's a marketplace of human advice.
Yes, yes, it is. We have verified scholars and psychologists, Islamic psychologists who deliver these services. Again, we also have personalized multi-healing sessions, where we call it, where they go through psychology sessions plus understanding the text-based, faith-based evidences to support their healing journey. This happens on call and chat. So we have the first layer, which is the free layer, where it's just question and answers, where people come in. It's more of like almost like a forum, but a private forum, where Muslims can come in and ask their questions and get answers, again, over a period of time. There are companies that are building Muslim GPT sort of thing here, where they have like just chat with AI on faith, but we see this as widely surrounded with stigma, taking faith-based guidance from AI. So this is entirely through scholars who will be answering these questions. We also have the next layer is the time-sensitive or the users in crisis care, where Islamic psychologists provide chat and call services. This is per minute billing that we do, and this is an on-demand service. The next layer is the multi-session personalized healing journey layer. This is more per session based. We throw out a complete plan based on their diagnosis of their healing journey. This could be from 4 sessions within 4 weeks to several months. So far, we've run a POC in India. The numbers are redacted from this slide, but we have hit about 1,000 free users who have just asked question and answer with the Islamic scholars. Again, sorry, you see alims here, that is Islamic scholars. Yeah. So the Q&A, we've hit about more than 1,000 users who've asked these free questions, while we've had 100 monetized users. And this is through this sort of a current flow, which is high friction and low trust. We just do performance marketing on Instagram and then redirect them to WhatsApp with manual responses at this point of time. And to go into a little bit of numbers, if I was just to throw at you, what we've seen is about 24% of the people who've come to us as knowledge seekers, who are again are repeat users who keep coming in to better their Islamic lifestyle, while Muslims with core life problems are 76%. The gender variation is about 70% female to 30% male. What insights we see here is that it's important for users to match with the right scholars or psychologists, where there is some contextual and cultural relevance between the user and the expert. We also see that there is an urgency when it comes to getting their questions answered. And this is, again, we feel a layer that we can monetize. So far, we've made a revenue of monthly revenue growth of 30%, though we are at $400 of revenue, and an average order value of $4. We can go to the next one. That's what we do. So what levers we intend to explore is the AI part. We get a lot of basic questions that we want to we want automatic answers to. Again, the other part is the filtering or segregation part, where till a certain level the AI answers, but post that, once the question gets contextual, that's when the human intervention happens. We also want to add AI based matchmaking, where we understand the persona of the user and the expert and match the best ones. We also want to increase the number of service providers from just scholars and psychologists to more Islamic life coaches, etc., and Quran tutors. Yeah. So why now? Again, a global demographic of Muslim users are disconnected from mosques, increased online misinformation, and rise of mental health or faith tech emerging as a strong sector, as we see with AstroTalk and other religious-based platforms. The SAM that we're looking at is about 50 to 150 million, with 20 to 30% that we see that online Muslims engage with religious content. The SOM within the next 12 months of funding, we would expect 2 million users seeking advice, with about 50,000 consultations, which is monetized users, about 200K revenue ARR.
Your assumption is that you want to raise money at this point of your development?
We have an MVP in development currently. It's
not a fundable situation. It's not a fundable situation. You have to prove a lot more. First and foremost, you have to. The TAM is not, at least based on what you're showing here. I have to look at the models of how you calculated these TAMs and stuff. You have to. TAM is not large enough, and you need to show how you're going to build a high velocity business that grows from 0 to 100 million in 5 to 7 years. And I don't see the ingredients of that at this point to raise money. So You're going to have to bootstrap your way to a certain level of traction to be able to answer those questions on how does this business become a high velocity business? And those answers are just not there at this point to raise money on this. So you have to kind of adjust your expectations that you're going to have to build up to that, and you're not it's going to take you time to get to fundability.
Right. So what would be like the metrics? Because we intend to launch the MVP in the middle of Jan. That's our target, at least. And what would be the metrics for that, for our MVP, right? Like, let's say in 3 months, are we to hit certain number of monetized users or free users that we're looking for? Based on that is when we try to raise funding, or that would look fundable?
Could be. I haven't thought about what exactly would be the metrics. I haven't worked on your business, so it's hard for me to, pull metrics from the hat. So, but we have to define all of that. If you decide you wanted to work with 1M, I would, work with you to figure out how to present the TAM that is a fundable TAM, number one, and to really you have a lot of different types of business model in here. So we need to model that to see what is the scalable business model that can grow fast and can be repeatable. So there's a lot of strategic work that we need to do to then derive what metrics can get us to fundability. I don't have an answer. I know how to get to that answer, but I have to work on it with you to get to that answer.
Understood. When you say multiple business models here, you mean in terms of how it can be monetized, or is it something
Monetized,
else?
exactly.
Okay.
So if you look at, you're talking about average call length, so there's different kinds of monetization models in here.
Yep.
I saw it somewhere. I can't find it right now, but you have like per minute, per
per session.
Per session. There's all kinds of. So what assumptions are you building your bottom up TAM on the basis of? It's not at all clear. Point is, if I put myself in with an investor hat on, I can't figure out what business I'm investing in. So how do I build this business? What am I optimizing? And none of that exists in your slide deck right now. So we have to build all of those pieces for you to become fundable. But I do think faith-based online solutions are becoming more common. I think I read something about a Brazilian chanting service for Catholics that is like growing really, really fast. I do think there is an AI can potentially give you scalability in doing what you want to do. I think there is a market for it. Whether it's a venture scale market or not, I don't know yet because I haven't run the numbers on it. But there is a market. That what you're trying to do, there is definitely a market for it. So you have to figure out how to put one foot before the other to really grab that market. But I think your analysis is correct that there is a market for this.
Gotcha. Sorry. The way to do it is, of course, execute, right?
Always.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Whatever you want to do, the way to do it is execute. But there is also, there's strategic execution, and then there is pray and pray. In 1M, we work with a very systematic strategic execution, and we don't do spray and pray. So you can't really bootstrap to success without having very precise execution strategy. So,
Right.
So yes, you need to execute, but you need to execute strategically so that you can bring, harness the resources that you need to grow faster. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Next.
Yeah, you can skip that.
Let's see. Noel Manoj and Siddharth Bharadwaj. You guys are next.
Hello. Greetings of the day. So essentially, we have SpeakMind, which is a holistic platform for people's mental health and which is focused more towards the youth of India, essentially. And moving on to the next slide. So this is the entire summary of what I'll be speaking in the presentation. First, the problem, which is that India's mental youth is facing a crisis at the moment, and it is driven by three main things, which is stigma, isolation, and a lack of accessible care. So we can just move on to the next slide, and these all points will be covered eventually. So the core barriers, as I mentioned in the previous slide as well. So stigma essentially is like there's a significant societal taboo in India about mental health. You talk about depression to essentially people of the older generation, the parents, and they just say something like, there's nothing such as depression, just work, be happy, and it will be cured. And research studies have shown that it is actually a very serious thing, and clinical depression is also something that needs to be taken seriously. There's also a lack of access. According to the data, there's only 0.75 psychiatrists per 100,000 people in India. The WHO recommended is 3, and in most developed nations, it's 9 or more. 9 is the bare minimum. So, there's a lack of access and there's a huge treatment gap in India. And there's also the thing of the digital paradox that despite being hyper-connected through social media, the youth feel lonely at times and they feel isolation. So this is also another thing that we see in the market at the moment and in the society at the moment. Next point, please. Next slide, please. So why now? Why did we choose to do it? So all of us, all the three founders that I'll be talking about, we're all computer science graduates, and what we noticed was that we make projects and everything like that. So all of the data show that this is the perfect time for people to know the mental health. Gen Z is better known among the people for being more aware of what they're feeling and being more vocal about it, both in the workplace and at home. So the government of India officially flagged mental health as a significant threat to the nation's productivity, and the amount that it will impact will be at around 3.9 trillion by 2030. India also has the cheapest internet. We're going with a mobile first approach first, and we're going mobile first because everyone almost has a smartphone, and the internet in India is very cheap. And generative AI is expanding immensely and very rapidly. So, and it's also becoming cheaper. So both video and audio solutions that are there, they will only become more and more affordable for the people. And of course, the cultural shift to digital self-care is because, they have the phone and they want to care about themselves. They just don't know how. And by technology, we can bridge that gap. So going on to the next slide. This is essentially our prototype. And the first slide and the few slides that you're seeing, these are all of the features that we have. Moving on to the next slide, I'll show you the main feature, the most unique features. So the brain health integration, it's basically what we have done is we've used EEG devices, which take brain waves from the brain, brain waves obviously. And based on that, it tells you how much focus you are, how relaxed you are, how tensed you are. And based on the data, it gives a summary of what you can do to improve. This is one of the main features. Of course, EEG devices are more expensive, and this is more on the later phases, but the functionality is there. And for the initial part of our journey, what we're thinking of doing is having these EEG small centers scattered across the places where people can come. They can relax for a bit while the EEG devices that are there at the center, they take their uh, they essentially measure the kind of stress and anxiety that they're feeling. The second thing we're integrating is to move away people from just this digital space. And so we've made hyperlocal community events. It works currently in 3 phases. The first one is a community forum where people can come discuss their problems, and they can just be like So this problem is not just happening to me. There's other people, so there's nothing to be shy about that. The next is a direct person-to-person DM. Say, for example, you see someone who has healed from the same problem, or you might have healed, or you both are currently going through the problem, and you just want to talk. Then you can just directly give them a DM or direct message, and they can just chat with each other. And the third one is the events. So you select your city and it will tell you the current mental health events that are happening, not just mental health, anything that essentially improves the health. It could be meditation session, it could be marathons, and even India being a very, religious country and people with a lot of emotions, we are also adding the religious places kind of stuff because people feel at peace when they feel like they belong. And there's no better place than places like temples or gurudwaras or mosques. People go there and they feel a sense of calm. Next slide, please. So talking about the market opportunity, going towards the numbers a little bit from all the emotions. The global market was valued at $7.48 billion. It has a 14.8% of compounded annual growth rate. And going back to India, funneling down a little bit, it's $1.4 billion, and the growth rate is even more at 18.5%. So our focus is meaningful urban population and the multilingual system of our app. Essentially, in tier one cities, people have no problem in talking in English and going through the apps. But in tier 2 and 3 cities, it's more of a difficult thing. People don't know English that fluently. They cannot, in most of the tier 3 cities in India, they cannot even read English more fluently. So we are focusing a little bit more towards the multilingual aspect as well as the vocal aspect, that people can just talk and people can, go through the entire feature set of the app. They can help themselves with just their voice. Next slide, please. So these are some of the current competitors that are there in the market. So we occupy the ideal space on the map with both proactive and holistic approach, as well as accessibility due to the multilingual as well as the voice aspect. The traditional telepathy like Amaha, they are there, but they're extremely expensive for a large amount of Indian audience, since most of them, a huge population of them are not just below poverty line or even those above the poverty line. They essentially cannot afford 1,000 to 3,000 rupee session. And also the chatbots, they they do offer solutions, but they do not offer a holistic solution for the people. They also seem very aloof. Moving on to the next year is the
What is your price point? You keep saying that 1,000 to 3,000 rupees per session is too expensive. What is your price point?
yeah, it's on the next slide. One more slide, please. I apologize. Yeah, here it is. So we are going for a premium model. So the chat and the text-based options essentially, as well as the access to the forum, the chat and the community events, those will be in the free tier. If you want something more on the premium side, which will be AI video calls and the live chat with the therapist and the voice bot related chats where you just want someone to listen, that will be for a premium tier, and it's just $5 per month, which is essentially just 400 to 500 rupees a month.
Does that include human interaction, human coach?
Yes, it does.
Or is it an AI only?
Not the video coach. So the human interaction that is there in the free model is not the direct human coach. Of course, those therapists and the psychiatrists, those will be kind of like a pay-per-use basis. We'll be partnering with them. The free model that currently is there, it has forum where you can see people around you, talk with them, and the events as well as the ordinary question and answer chatbot and meditation session. So meditation session is just exercises. If there's a panic attack in the middle of the night, you just turn on a meditation session. It helps you breathe. It plays calming sounds. And the forum, of course, is just the community section.
Okay.
Towards the Can you go one slide previous, please? One more.
More?
Yeah, one more. So our go-to-market strategy is essentially it's going to be a D2C kind of app, obviously. And we're going to start with influencer marketing, and so that the youth can first get attracted to the app and we can get our first 10,000 users.
Influencer marketing costs a lot of money.
Influencer marketing, as in we plan to invest and do marketing via the growing influencers, not those that already have a huge amount of following. So for 50 to 60,000 users as well, if we go towards that, then they cost much less, as well as since the growth is there and we build a lasting partnership, then it all it becomes more affordable and we can go for a partnership for a long.
Are you already in business, or is this a concept level?
Concept, but we do have proof of concept. We took this idea essentially for a Google hackathon and we won third place in that. So we do know that there's a market and we do know that the product solves things and the product and the app, it has potential.
That's not the point. Okay, so tell me what brings you here first and foremost. Let me understand what brings you here, and then I will answer your question in a moment.
So we are currently just starting, and we see a problem and we want to build a solution for it. So what we want, essentially, the most important thing is mentorship. How do we position the product, in what way do we position it, and then there's also the fact that mental health space does not need to be just a D2C brand. There's also employee mental health and all of those, so it can also go B2B. So the questions that I had were essentially around that and along those points.
So one of the issues that you have is that there's no one from the mental health side on your team. You're 3 computer science people, and there's nobody who understands mental health and how mental health works.
So essentially, if you go to 2 slides more forward, another one. These are the 3 of us, the founders. So this is the team that we have. The 3 founders, we met in an internship that we were doing, and there we met these angels and their connection. So Karan Singh, essentially, he runs one of the biggest mental health and yoga firms in Bali in India, and he has partners with the Osho group, the I'm forgetting the name, I apologize. But he has one of the biggest centers of yoga and wellness, multiple centers for mental health. And this is also the network that is there. So Hina Dugal and Priyambada, these are people who have been in the industry for a while. They know how to market products. And this is...
You need somebody on your team. You can't just have advisors. Where somebody who knows what they're doing has to be on the team to help you build the products. So I'll tell you what, there is definitely mental health is a real issue. There's no question. I mean, if you look at the recording last week, also we had a mental health pitch. And mental health is an issue. There is no question about it. All over the world, mental health is an issue. AI is both creating mental health problems, because as you probably are reading, that ChatGPT is encouraging people to commit suicide and stuff like that, which is creating huge amounts of problem. There's a lot of AI companions coming up. We're seeing these businesses every time. If you go back and look at the last 4 or 6 recordings, you will find a lot of mental health and AI companion and blah, 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 all over the place. I think the one thing that as I was listening to you, that one thing that I find actually is worth pursuing is less than this, psychologists trying to help with mental health issues, or pure AI helping with mental health issues. I think personally, the gap in the market is if you can create an automated AI mental health solution that actually is optimized towards encouraging people to have in-person interactions and building in-person relationships. So it is not so much that you don't want the user to become addicted to your AI and lose himself or herself in the AI. That becomes an AI companion, and all these crazy stuff like getting married to your AI and all this nonsense starts to happen. It's totally not that. It's the exact opposite of that, where if you have a lot of people, and you had a little bit of that, the beginnings of that. So if you decide to work with me, that's where I would steer you towards, because I have already picked up that is a gap in the market. And that's something that you can do as 3 computer science people without a lot of mental health, knowledge. You can create an AI that draws people in and guides them on their mental health issues. But the solution is in developing something that has more of natural solutions of encouraging people to engage with the world, engage with nature, and you had some good ideas there, in encouraging people to go to if they're from religious backgrounds, and if religion gives them peace, to steer them towards that. And you just heard Adeeb's presentation earlier about something that is doing specifically for mental health in the community of Islamic consumers. So there are, but I think the framing of the problem needs to be about how to get people to interact with other people, as opposed to getting drawn and getting sucked into the AI.
Absolutely, and I think that my co-founders' vision is also that being from the computer science field, the more we steer towards the computers and technologies, the more we feel like we need to go out from there. So if we're building something that we want people, and it's a product that needs a lot of empathy, if we cannot envision ourselves as being users of that product, then we do not see other people using it, essentially. So that is why our approach has been a little bit more towards developing, and most of the AI stuff that we have, it's easy to copy and easy to build, especially with AI coding tools and everything. So the end goal of that is also a world where people just use our app, they connect with the people, and we have our centers and we have places where people can connect a bit more with each other. They can do it, and they can do it naturally. They do not feel out of place.
We have centers, because that again pushes up costs that you don't want to take on. What you want is to have facilitate that community building. If you look at Buddhism, for instance, there are 3 pillars of Buddhism: Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Sangha is community. If you look at all successful religions, community is part of that. I think whether it's churches, that's all community. Gurudwaras is a lot of community. Everywhere there is community is what gives people peace. Community is a healthy thing to encourage. So if you decide to work with me, that's what I would mentor you towards, is building a mental health platform that emphasizes building community. And then that's the central organizing principle from which we will derive the rest of your product roadmap and strategy in general. That's my 2 minutes.
Understood. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, I am going to now explain to you how to use 1M. We're a little bit over time. So everything is online. 1M can be utilized by anybody from anywhere in the world. You go to 1Mby1M.com and start using the program. The AI mentor is available to you 24/7. You're welcome to use that. Remember one thing about the AI mentor. How you ask questions, what we call prompt engineering, is going to define how well you are able to work with the AI mentor. So soon you're going to see a lot of guidance from the 1M resources, whether it's on LinkedIn or through our email systems and so forth. You will receive batteries of prompts to work with the AI mentor. And we're working on that. We have learned that people are asking stupid questions, and AI can answer if you structure your questions in a way that can extract good input, good feedback from AI. If you overwhelm AI with 16 pages of blah, 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 AI cannot really process that so well. So try to, focus in bit-sized, precise, explain your situation, ask focus questions on what you are trying to understand, and AI will be able to answer. Our AI, when you're asking right questions in the right way, is doing great. So as far as 1M is concerned, the premium program is an annual membership fee-based full acceleration program that includes mentoring like this, strategy consulting, mentoring, coaching, whatever you call it, same format as this. When you are fundable, we offer you investor introductions also through the premium program. There's a terrific actionable curriculum that is case study based, and you're going to do a lot of work using that curriculum to learn the pieces, the building blocks of your strategy. That curriculum is available as a standalone version in 1M Basic as well. That's $99 a month. 1M Premium is $1,000 annual membership fee. Basic is $99 a month. Curriculum only does not include mentoring, but you can use Basic, the curriculum from Basic, and use the AI mentor. That would work also. AI mentor starts at $30 per month. You get to test it out, 3 questions for free. So go look on the website at the different offerings and decide how you want to engage, and you're welcome in any way that you want to engage with 1M is fine. The next roundtables are January 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. And if you're looking for a slot, please register for whichever one you want to pitch at, and Maureen will find you a slot. And if you have questions about the 1M program after today's program, you can talk to Irina Patterson, who's on our team, and she can get on the phone or WhatsApp with you. So that's it for today. If anybody has any other questions, I will quickly answer those questions. Otherwise, we have more or less covered all that we needed to cover today. Anybody? Any question?
From my side, Sramana, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit afterwards if you have time.
There's no afterwards. This is the only place where you have to talk. So if you have a question, you can ask now. I am not accessible outside of the 1M premium program. Nobody can talk to me unless you are in the premium program, or you can talk to me at these free roundtables. That's it.
Okay. No, it was mainly because, as you suggested, to stay a while after the meeting so we can discuss the model and possible synergy.
The model. The reason I asked you to stay is to listen to how 1M works. So I just explained to you how 1M works. If you have questions based on that, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you.
Have questions?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Okay, folks, good luck, everybody, and happy holidays. There is no roundtable next week. We are Christmas and New Year's the next 2 weeks. So I will see you in the new year. Happy New Year. Lots of luck and lots of good wishes coming your way from our entire team. So bye-bye. Take care. Thanks for coming today.